And we are live. Hello, everyone.
Indeed.
Welcome to the Grafana Campfire Community Calls, the September edition. Today, we have a lot of amazing folks, some amazing talent, which will talk about something very exciting, which is called UI Extension. But I will not do the intro too much today because I think my co-host Matt is very excited to present this one. So, Matt, please.
Yes, thanks, Usman. I am excited actually because this is one of the areas that I think is such a kind of exciting thing to have available. Like extensions let you plug in different places in the app. So you're building your app and you can make bits appear elsewhere, menu options, components, different things. There are different ways to sort of integrate. And this is a way I've seen just sort of multiplies the value of things. And it goes, you're really giving the user the best possible experience, giving them a capability they need right where they need it. That's why I'm excited. And you're right about a good team. We've got Andrew, Ben, Joey, Marcus joining us today. Hello, everybody. How's it going? Got a
Good.
salute
Yeah,
there and a wave.
Good, thanks.
maybe you can start introduce yourself. Maybe I can start. I didn't introduce myself, so we can do this and then we can jump to the topic so that everyone knows like who we are and what we do at Grafana Labs. We don't just do nothing. We do a lot of work. So it's more than just work. So yeah, it's about the
Yeah.
community. So yeah, quick intro about me. My name is Usman. I work in the Grafana Labs in the dev advocacy area. Basically, I work very closely with the open source community. Currently, I'm more focused on the data source side, and I think with data source comes also this part of your extension as well. But yeah, other than that, you probably see me creating tutorials, blogs, or videos. So and doing these calls with my co-host Matt. And now I will pass the torch to Matt.
Thank you. Okay, yeah. I'm a engineer at Grafana Labs. I'm working on the assistant and the a new agentic stuff, which is kind of very exciting and also different because you normally you in computers you would like put some data in a database and then you get that data out and it's the same. With LLMs, they're sort of somewhat non-deterministic, and it really sort of depends on the mood they're in whether you can get them to do what you want or not, which is kind of like I like that, but it is weird when you think about it. I've worked well with I work with Ben on this, don't I, Ben?
You've worked well with me. In fact,
I
I would
think
agree with
so.
that statement.
I'm
Yes.
trying to write my performance review subliminally.
Yes, I also work on the same team with Matt on the new agentic assistant-based things. In the past, I've also worked I've been on the machine learning side of things since joining Grafana about 4 years ago. And I've also worked on the MCP server that we've released open source. So
Yeah.
I think we've discussed that a couple of times on this call, actually.
Yes,
So
very
hopefully
popular
everyone is
episode
familiar.
actually.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. So check it out if you're interested in those topics. Go and have a look in the back catalogue later, and don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Usman told me to say that. Ben, we also have. There's a lot. There are ways to integrate with Assistant. Maybe later we could talk about some of those.
Yes, absolutely. We are very excited about all of these different ways that you can integrate with Assistant, actually. It's kind of a new paradigm for interacting with Grafana, and we're hoping to, just spread that across all of Grafana, really. So more on that later.
Yes, I think Joey
Yeah.
has. I think Joey has actually used that API that we just talked about, haven't you, Joey? And welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Thanks, I have certainly. So yeah, Joy on the Observability Traces and Profiling team. Work primarily in Traces Drilldown at the moment, help with Profiles Drilldown, and that involved a lot of the integrations we're going to talk about today.
Nice, welcome. And Marcus, you also you know a lot about extensions and extending the UI, don't you?
Some. So my name is Marcus. I work, I guess we are called the community team or the plugin platform team. So basically I work with everything regarding building plugins, all the APIs that you interact with. We also do plugin reviews for all the plugins available in the catalog. We do basically a bunch of stuff regarding plugin development. We build plugin tools which you can use to scaffold plugins, and plenty of stuff. And UI extensions is one of them.
Nice. Yeah, very exciting. Andrew, you're a manager. Do you do any work?
No, I don't know how I got invited to this call. Yes, my name's Andrew. I lead the Drilldown group, which Joey is a part of. And UI Extensions has been a key piece for us to complete workflows that span multiple parts of the Grafana stack and application. Like we've got hundreds of plugins that users can use, and when you want to complete a user workflow, like you don't really care about which plugin you're using. You just want to get the job done. So this is a tool that helps us really unlock that. I'm excited to talk about it with you all today.
Yeah,
and so, I'm sorry if I'm interrupting, but Andrew is like 2-on-2 on this community call. The third time will be like a headache. We have to give something to Andrew, maybe some more work.
I mean, that's the failure of success, right? You just like get more work.
Yeah, no, just don't invite him again.
Just don't invite me next time. That'll be the gift.
But Andrew, so it's interesting. You have the Drilldown group, and tell us a bit about how that's structured, because I think something about the way we work at Grafana Labs means that the way of extending each other's work, it becomes kind of important, the way that we do that.
Yeah, so I think like Drilldown as a group, we focus on kind of these independent verticals of each signal, right? So there's a Drilldown app for metrics, for logs, for traces, and for profiles. And like, yeah, you could say thinking about those in silos might hurt the user experience, but that's not really how we think about it. We think about user workflows and trying to accomplish a task with that vertical. So we don't stop at boundaries. Instead, we use UI extensions to complete the workflow. And I think that's a really powerful paradigm. Like we just want to move fast and deliver value to the users. And we don't necessarily care where the functionality lives within the organization of Grafana. We don't let that slow us down. Matt, you're muted.
Yeah, that's a classic. That must have happened. Has that never happened? Is there a person where that has never happened? That's
daily.
The question. Yeah, it just never happened to you, or it does happen every day.
It happens
all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I just remembered this is live now. What I was going to say is, could we maybe start at what the problem is here? So why is extending the UI so important? Why is it such a used capability, Marcus?
So as I guess Andrew talked about a bit, new features in Grafana are delivered by building apps. And you don't really want to navigate into a certain app to complete a task. You want that functionality to be available when it's needed. So UI extensions, the plan is to provide a way for plugins to deliver that value when or deliver that functionality when it's needed. I got a bit. I thought I was alone here for a second. That's why I was like, "What?"
Yeah, because we've got cinematographer.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same time. Yeah.
So but I guess that makes it even more real, and I guess it's live. So no, but yeah, I'm not sure if I answered your question. I got a bit lost there.
Yeah, sorry about that. If I make you nervous, that's why.
No, it's fine. I wasn't sure if I was still on the call or not, so that's why.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, yes, basically, so we have all these different apps. We want to cooperate. If we tried to just build one experience, we'd probably be just moving too slowly. And the amount of coordination you'd have to do to do that is just too great. And because we have these, we have autonomous teams at Grafana Labs, we're kind of moving, quickly and in their different directions. I feel like, yeah, this is why extensions is a really nice paradigm, because it's sort of like a looser coupling between these things.
100%.
Yeah.
We get
Also,
to release actually independently, which is nice in isolation. Right. That's probably one of the handiest things, I think, right? And then you also own your code base. It's your responsibility. No other team needs to be bothered most of the time.
Yeah, you just got to make sure that your extension is available. Yeah,
exactly. And we don't want to. So we need a way to trigger or share or reuse functionality, but we don't want to copy paste stuff into different repos. We want it to be available only if that plugin is available in Grafana, since Grafana could be extended or set up in different ways. So there are some challenges that needs to be solved, and hopefully we solve some of them with UI extensions.
Yeah, great. What are these the UI extensions then? Like, what actually are they? How do they work?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have prepared some slides. Hopefully, people will be have a better idea after that, but I'm not sure. Let's see. Let me see if I can share my screen. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna do this. So what are UI extensions? So it's a set of runtime APIs that allows plugins and or Grafana to provide and consume renderable content between each other. Doesn't say much maybe, but that's basically the definition. So we have a couple of different participants in this framework. So we have the content providers. That's either a Grafana core, so one of the core functionality, or it's an app plugin. So basically you want to provide some kind of functionality or renderable content, as we call it, to some other part of Grafana or a plugin. So the content provider provides renderable content. It could be links, components, or functions. So these are three different types of extensions that you can do. And then we have the content consumers, which is basically the last part of this flow, and it's it could either be Grafana core or it could be app plugins, or it could actually be other plugins as well. But this is what it mostly is. Yeah. So we have two different flows. So we have a set of APIs we call expose, and we have a set of APIs we call add, and they are kind of different depending on the use case. You would either use expose or you would use the add APIs. So the expose you could think of it as you are broadcasting functionality or renderable content to anyone. So you as a producer, so the plugin providing the renderable content, are basically just saying, hey, I have a component or I have a function or a flow. Anyone that's interesting, you can use it. You just fetch it at this place. And I don't know beforehand who is going to use it. Anyone can use it. So basically just broadcasting that functionality out to everyone. And then the consumer, on the other hand, it knows exactly where the content comes from because it needs to request it from the provider, so to say, or from the producer. And it will only receive one single thing. So if that producer is available, so for example, if we have the machine learning plugin, which provides forecast capabilities, if I want to consume that and I'm asking for it for the machine learning app to provide me that, I'm only going to get that if the machine learning app is available. And then we have the add APIs, which is more of as a producer, you are targeting a specific place and you're adding functionality to a predefined place in the UI. And from the consumer side of things, which is where you define the extension point or where you render the extension point, you don't really know pre-hand who is extending that your extension point. It could be multiple plugins, it could be Grafana. You will just get multiple contributions from different producers. So here we are trying to, this is actually from the latest documentation. So we try to visualize the flow. So we have, this is the expose one, you're exposing a component. So we have the content provider on this side, creating some cool functionality, or it could be a button that triggers a flow, or it could be like a rich page, or it could be almost anything. You expose it to anyone basically by calling the expose component API, providing it with an ID, and you also pass the renderable content. And then it's consumed by using a hook called use plugin component. And it could be used by multiple plugins, but they will only return that single renderable content. And this is also made in a way where the content provider will provide the context. So, for example, if you're in a dashboard and you want to share queries or template variables or data, you can pass that alongside the renderable content. So it can be consumed by the content consumer. And then we have the add APIs. Yeah, feel free to jump in with questions. I'm going to run through this quickly so we can jump into a demo. Then we have the add APIs, which is similar, but the content provider, they are the one that are adding a link component or a function to a predefined area, predefined place in the UI. And then the content consumer, they are consuming the links, components, or functions, and they will get multiple items back. So in this case, plugin A and plugin B are adding content to a certain ID. Both Grafana Core and plugin C, which are consuming that content, they will get 3 entries. So both the 2 from plugin A and the 1 from plugin B. So I think that was like the trying to talk a bit about how the different flows work. So let's see some examples maybe.
And Marcus, just for the viewers, like these documentation, is it available on the Grafana developer website, plugin development website?
Yep, so you can find it at grafana.com. If I can spell, and we go to developers. This is pretty nice. So basically you will end at the developer portal, and then you can into plugin documentation. Here you have a bunch of information about things you need to know about plugin development, but you have a section called UI Extensions where we go into details. We have API references, and we have how-to guides on this as well here. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, but you can find everything here, basically.
Perfect.
So, yeah, that was basically, I'm trying to answer the question of what UI extensions are.
Yeah, well, I think you did. And it makes a lot of sense. I can see how this, and I should say also, this isn't just for internal Grafana people engineering stuff. This is if you are building something on top of Grafana yourself, you get to use all these APIs. We should make that clear. Yeah, I would love to see some examples then. Do we have any real examples of some of this in action that we could point to?
We do indeed. Let me show you one example. I'll share my screen. Screen sharing is easiest with 2 monitors. Yeah.
Is that what it tells you?
It does, but that's no problem because I know what screen I'm going to share. And I have it opened. Okay. Now, so our example that I wanted to show you was explain an assistant. So if you haven't seen it already, you can open the assistant from the top right-hand side of your Grafana instance if you have the assistant plugin installed, and it'll open up this sidebar here. And in that sidebar, you can ask the assistant all sorts of questions. And some of my favorite are about your metrics, logs, traces, or profiles, data sources. You can say, you know, what are my slowest traces? Tell me where profiles are taking longer than, 5 minutes or 500 megs of resources, for example, in this certain cluster namespace. So that's a couple of the things the assistant does. But for us in this case, and in the traces domain in particular, we have, if you haven't seen it already, the concept of a trace view, which essentially takes a particular trace ID and queries that in the tempo data source And then it shows you that trace and all its child spans in a trace view. That's just the name of the visualization. But these views can be confusing, can be large. This one isn't too large, but every span does have a lot of information within it. So think of it like metadata for a service and operation. Like you've queried a website and you're seeing the page load. There's a whole lot of queries that have to happen under the surface for that to work. So that's kind of the chain of events we're seeing here. So there can be a lot of information. Long story short, this plugin component, and I'll show you in code how it works in a moment, it allows us to hook directly into the assistant to send over the query that we used to get this information to the assistant. The assistant will basically query that for us. It'll get the information from the query, and then it'll summarize exactly what we're seeing. So essentially, you don't really have to think or search in the trace if you don't want to. It'll just summarize everything for you. It'll tell you where the bottlenecks are. It'll tell you which services are called the most. Perhaps if you have errors, it'll explain why they're happening, and then it'll give you suggestions or recommendations on what to do next. And you can jump to other places in Grafana to perhaps make a bit more sense of the information, or to achieve more functionality to work with that information. So this is how it looks in the UI, and that's how you access the functionality for this extension.
It's such a, before you go on, it's like it's such a good use of LLM. This LLMs are really good at sort of translating from one thing to another and being able to kind of keep the semantic meaning, but then also the fact that it can reason about what the data means as well. I think this is kind of like really sort of game changer for anyone that's just new to tracing and just doesn't really know perhaps how to read this stuff, or doesn't need to maybe now, right?
Yeah, totally agree. I wonder what the next feature is going to be for us if we're just explaining away all the visualizations. Plenty of stuff in the pipeline. No hassle.
Exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so
So Joey, that normally that would be a very difficult thing to build, that as a feature. How difficult was that? And can you show us the code? I'd love to see it.
I can, yeah. In fairness, it wasn't that tricky at all. There were 4 caveats. I'm actually going to have to stop sharing the screen because I've done the typical thing, and I've shared a window. Not
sharing
the screen.
is easier if you have 2 monitors, Joey.
Hilarious. Okay, so so let's walk through how the code works, and then maybe I can explain some of the caveats. There's only one caveat, to be honest with you. Okay, so like Marcus has explained in detail, we basically have to create a place where you can expose.
Sorry, Joey, can you just zoom in, please? It's a bit tiny.
Oh yeah, of course, no problem.
Oh yeah, much better. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. So you have to expose a component or a link or a function. The plugins team has allowed us to work with all 3. Links are basically you passing in a URL or something to open up in Grafana. A component can be anything, which is what we used essentially for the button over here. It's a button component, albeit with a link within. And you can also expose functions as well. And functions can be kind of anything really. It can be a link, it can be a function, it can be a link, a component, or it could be something else. So let's get rid of this annoying highlighting. We have the assistant app, and here I'm hooking into an exposed component in Grafana, which I'll show you. So the way to hook into an exposed component is to add it to your added components in your plugin JSON. That was basically the caveat for me. It was, where do I put it and what do I put into it? So it's if you're hooking into something, it's added component, added link, added function, something that's defined elsewhere that I'll show you. And you also have to specify the target, description, and title. And just keep in mind, I guess obviously enough, the targets, if you hook into it multiple times, you have to use the exact same ID of the exposed component, but you also have to make sure the description of the title is the exact same. If it's not, you'll have a kind of an error will appear for you. But you can, the easiest thing is really to just step through the code, because it's very quick to find where the issue is, if that strikes you. But there's also a very helpful page on Grafana. I'll just show you very quickly. I'm going to just duplicate this, where you can see all of your exposed extensions and your links and your components. And I hope there's nothing private here, but I doubt it. Where you can just select, the various apps, extensions, and you can see if they're working or not. And that gives you a bit more.
A question.
Sure.
So this is very interesting how you show the extensions in if you go back, like the list of all extensions. So is there like a special way to enable this feature to see what extensions are there?
Ooh, good question. I think it might be a feature toggle, and I will have to follow up on that. But it could also just be bundled into Grafana by default.
It's in Grafana by default, but it's only available when you're on Grafana in development mode.
I see. Yeah, because I have never seen in plugins and data a special section for extensions. So I was wondering.
Yeah, so I think this is something we provided just to make the developer experience a bit better when you are iterating and building the extensions, because as Joey highlighted, we have one big drawback, and it's basically that you need to define the extension in two places. So the place that you showed now, it was the plugin JSON, but then also you have the TypeScript part, which you have here. We are working. So this is I'm going to try to provide some background here. This isn't great, and this is something that we want to resolve. In the first version of UI extensions, you only needed to define the stuff in TypeScript. Then we launched with that. Everything went really well. People start to use it all over the place, and we run into some problems with performance because we needed to load plugins prior to them being used, just to figure out if they are adding extensions or not. So that's why we added the static information in the plugin JSON, because then we can, prior to loading the plugin, actually evaluate and figure out which plugins to use where in Grafana. So now everything is lazy loaded. This is something that we're gonna resolve. We have a bunch of ideas, but in a perfect world, you only work in the TypeScript part, and the static part gets generated for you, like during development time. So it just gets bundled when you ship the plugin. We are not there yet, but that's something that we would like to end at.
That's a fair point. And to be totally honest, between yourself, Levi, and Jack, I've always found the one time I had a question that you responded so quick, jumped on PRs, calls. We got through the thing the last time for this in particular, the explain assistant. I think it took us a day to figure out something that wasn't totally supported for our use case. And it got sorted and merged quick. So in all fairness, I have no complaints right now, and the power it's pretty handy right now. So appreciate that you get through things pretty quick. And just to close this full circle, so like Marcus was saying, you defined it in the plugin JSON, and then you have the TSX or TypeScript file. The types are really handy as well, of course, for us, for figuring out the type of context that you want to pass between the place that's exposing the component and the place that's using the component. So you can pass in information. Like in this case, the context for us, for the explain and assistant, is you pass in a trace ID query, a time range, and a few other small things. But just so I don't drag on too much, I'm going to end this pretty quick. This is the button that we return to the extension that is exposed in core Grafana. So we can pass in any component we want. We pass in this fancy button, Open Assistant button. That's the button you see here. And when you click on it, the action is basically handled in this. This is in the assistant. So because we're actually looking at something in core Grafana, not the assistant, the plugin is exposed in core Grafana. It's pretty simple to actually do this for panels in core Grafana because, again, the team has made it really easy for us to just hook into this. It's a bit different if you're doing it plugin to plugin. You have to have a match in the plugin JSON file, basically, in both plugins. But here, the heavy lifting is taken care for us for a panel. We just specify a new action. And then in our core code, where we want to show other plugins who have hooked into our exposed components, we simply render them on screen like we do any other component. So you can see here we actually have use plugin links and use plugin components. We're currently using plugin components. Please bear with me, the button, so that we can have this fancy button. Previously, that's managed in the Assistant app and is common across all of Grafana, or will be, where the Assistant is used. Previously, we just passed in a link and we rendered our own kind of button, but it wasn't the same design as the Assistant. So we want things to be uniform. So you can ignore the links, basically. That's something we'll remove pretty soon, I'd say. But yeah, so we have the extension components from this pretty easy use plugin components. To make sure that you can actually hook into this use plugin components, again, you can check this page, or you can just jump through the code, to be honest. It's well commented and documented, so it's easy to jump through. And then when you have this object of the extension components, you simply render them on the page like you do any other kind of thing. This is just a util function. That's all that renders each of the components. And lastly, the context that I mentioned, it is defined in a type that you export and you can import in your other plugin if you like, for example. In this case it's a pretty small type for the data source, and then a slightly bigger type for the trace. So you know what you're sending over.
Yeah, very cool. So that button's kind of a two-part integration, really. You're integrating into core Grafana, and you're also integrating on the other end into Assistant.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. Yeah.
That's the power of it, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's very cool. We do have a question from the community. Friend of the show, Jungle Jolt, is asking, how can observability as code tie in with UI extensions, like adding custom actions into dashboards?
So observability is code. So I'd imagine that's creating things that you can version control, perhaps. So with this approach, rather than having to repeat the process over and over, you can create your extension points or links just as components, and they're versioned as any other kind of repository in Grafana. They do usually have their own folders and directory structure, so they're easy to find, but they're versioned in Git. So that's a way that you could see how it changed over time. And then, of course, when you're building your core Grafana instance, your configuration can specify, you can specify, right, the kinds of plugins that you use with your core Grafana instance. And any plugin that you allow to run with your core Grafana, they'll come along with all of the plugin links that have been extended for them. And of course, you need to have fallback checks to say if you're searching for links from a plugin, but the plugin is not installed, then just return nothing. So nothing blows up.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, keep the questions coming. If you watch live, you can ask the questions in the YouTube chat. They'll show up and we will ask them, put them to our panel. So yeah, the seeing the sort of assistant and extending it like that gets quite interesting. And I think it'd be nice to have a look a little bit more. Ben, maybe you could tell us a bit more about how else we can sort of do extensions and incorporate assistant.
Yes, I absolutely can. Perhaps I can even share my screen.
Yes, you probably.
You would certainly hope so.
Do you have two monitors?
I wish. I do, but I never use the other ones. It's turned off. Okay, what do we got here?
Turn it on.
It's not going to happen.
Could you make that smaller, Ben? It's just not testing people's eyes like we promised.
Better or worse?
This looks good.
Sorry.
What operating system do you use, Ben?
I'm on a Linux variant. Yeah. There we go.
Then this is a miracle already.
But that's working full stop.
The proper one.
So yeah, what I'm showing here is the npm package that we have, which is the Grafana Assistant one, which gives you lots of utilities for integrating with the assistant, and a lot of these are actually based on UI extensions under the hood. So what we provide is lots of different ways to interact with the assistant, and also to provide additional context to the assistant. So the most basic ones are kind of ones. There's something that Joey mentioned already, which is this kind of opening the assistant sidebar. So imagine you have a plugin that is like, you have some complicated visualization on there, and you want to give the user the ability to like ask the assistant about it, and adding a little button on there to provide that context to the assistant, so that the user can ask and then iterate and ask further questions and learn about what's going on is very possible here. And as well as just, there's a few different patterns for that. You can open it directly with the prompt populated. You could automatically send that message so that the flow starts already, or you can provide it as like hidden context so that it's there in case the user decides to start a chat organically. So that's really useful if you imagine a case where the user's on a dashboard, say, and they just want to ask a question like about the current page. It's really nice to not have to like make them describe what they see on the page. The assistant already knows that like it's looking at a dashboard with 7 panels, and they have these titles and queries and values. So the context ones are really, really useful. It's just kind of like ambient things that like live there. Another couple of really powerful ones that I want to talk about is so the ability to use custom components, and this would allow the assistant chat sidebar to render custom UI when it sees certain pieces of data. At the minute, it can already kind of render panels, and it can render like log lines and queries and mermaid diagrams, that kind of thing. But this API allows you to give it custom components to render, which is really cool because it can suddenly like show a whole breakdown of a trace or a profile, which you couldn't do before, or anything that you have, anything custom you have. It kind of transforms the kind of classic assistant experience, which is generally very text-based, like kind of a wall of text there, into something a bit more visual and nice and pleasing, and also useful. Like I can't remember how many words is a picture worth. Someone
it's loads.
It's loads.
It's 1,000. I think it's 1,000, but I think sometimes it could even be more.
Could be. I think it could be more.
I don't know what the current exchange rate is between pictures and words.
How many megapixels?
There's probably a dashboard for that.
We'll have to look that up afterwards. Yeah, contributions welcome.
But that's very true though, Ben, because obviously seeing a graph of data is, at a glance, you get a really good idea of what's going on, which is kind of the whole point of Grafana in the beginning.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We're in this weird space where like things are transitioning to being very text-based, and in some ways that is a backwards move, because as a user, like you want to be able to, you can immediately tell things from a graph or a panel, but yeah, when you have to read through 7 paragraphs of text to get a bunch of bullet points, it's quite hard. And back in the other direction as well, it's really hard to describe time series to models and LLMs in a way that they understand. So if we have a nice way of rendering those things and providing that data to the LLM, which we're working on, but it's still a challenge, that can be really, really useful. So watch this space. I imagine there'll be more there soon.
Yeah, very good. The thing that excites me the most about these APIs that you just showed is the Open Assistant one, which is literally where you just open the assistant and provide a prompt. Now, you're right about the context, which definitely matters, but I've seen people in Grafana build entirely new features just by putting a button in and having a prompt. Joey showed one great example of that. That's like a new feature that is a kind of hard, almost, it would be probably not very possible, not very easily before LLMs. And I think, the possibilities that get opened up just by having that one method of just open assistant and say this to assistant. Obviously, assistant has to be able to do that thing, and there's a lot of work going on to really level up everything
to enable
assistant
that.
can do. But just so powerful.
Yeah, especially when you think about like some of the concepts in Grafana are tricky. They're like, there's quite a lot of levels of understanding that are required to be able to do them. And for example, like understanding alert rules is a classic. Like people really struggle, and I really struggle with knowing like what all of the different config options are in an alert. And when you're setting one up, if you could just ask the assistant to alert on the current panel where you are, and it would pre-populate that form for you and describe what all of the features mean. Like it can do that immediately, and this is exactly the API that you need to be able to implement that feature. And I think we may even have that in a current release, so it's coming soon. Came out of the last hackathon. It was really, really good.
But I think you brought a very good point. Like alert is still like a very, very sophisticated mystery where you have to like find the clues and solve the mystery where it is coming from, because deep down, not you just have rules, you have to define like some templates as well, and there are also how you say the paths, like which alert trigger with what, like there's a parent-child combination. So with Grafana Assistant, I think it can play a big game like to solve those mysteries and make it more simplified, because the person who created the alert knows like how the whole mechanism is working. But for the viewer who are just like, hey, I have an alert, but I need help. And I think Grafana Assistant can be a good player in that part.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't take all the fun out of it like I do when I go to an escape room with my family. Because for whatever reason, I find them quite fun and easy, maybe, and they don't. And I just basically ruin it for them. So no one goes to escape rooms with me.
Or maybe you have like a premium member if you go every day and like, I know this door where it leads to.
I should do, but I went to one once and there was a binary puzzle on this door, and I immediately recognized it as binary and went and solved it, and that was like the last puzzle, so it sort of ruined the game because it just immediately got out. So everyone was annoyed at me, but I've escaped the room very quickly. I feel like that's why we came. Yeah, people are strange.
So if you learned anything from today's call, don't go to an escape room with Matt.
Yeah, which I don't know that anyone was planning on that. Were you? Does anyone want to go
you
on
never
escape
know.
room?
Next offsite.
Next offsite. Oh, I'd love that. That's a good idea.
Not now you've ruined it.
Yeah. So Marcus, I want to hear more about these exposed components.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Let's jump back. So I only have one monitor, so I'm gonna do the same thing again. But let's see. I'm gonna do this instead. Maybe it's better. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So now I'm in Asserts. So we go here. We have an app called Asserts. And I'm going to show all the nodes in my cluster. I'm going to go
maybe
to
for anyone that hasn't, Marcus, for anyone that hasn't seen this, what is Asserts?
That's a good question. I'm probably not the best person to ask that, but I guess no, I'm definitely not the best person to ask about that.
Yeah, I can
Andrew,
answer
what
that.
is Asserts? You haven't really contributed so far.
I know. Why is that? It's like inviting a manager to this call might not be the best idea. No, so yeah, I can definitely answer this. Asserts is essentially a knowledge graph that connects a bunch of disparate entities together through relationships. So I mean, it's like your typical graph, but it shows how different services might be related to each other. So like checkout service might call, order fulfillment, and then the order fulfillment might call payment. And you can see that chain of connections in the graph. And then if there's something that's gone wrong in that chain somewhere, you can see and pinpoint exactly what's gone wrong. And the beauty of it is like, you don't have to use traces. If you're just using metrics, like you get access to asserts, and I think that's very unique to the knowledge graph.
So what we see here is basically all the nodes in the Kubernetes cluster currently. So in Asserts, if you open this view, we basically jump into some more detailed information about this node. Since this is a node in a Kubernetes cluster, we get thrown into the Kubernetes tab. The cool thing here is what I'm viewing now is the Asserts app, so it's one single app. But this entire view, which is a pretty complex view, it's from the Kubernetes app, which is a totally different app. And everything is working. You can apply different time ranges. It's gonna just work out of the box. We can go to, there's also a link here, so we can go to opening Kubernetes, and you get thrown into the Kubernetes app, which has some more details and some more functionality if you want to drill down. But let's go back here again. So Asserts is using the use component, and they are fetching an exposed component for the Kubernetes app, and they are rendering it here, which is pretty cool, and it's fast. If for some reason the Kubernetes app would have been disabled or not available in this Grafana instance, this tab would be gone just seamlessly, and all the rest would function as normal. Another cool thing is, so I said that this was from the Kubernetes app, and the Kubernetes app, they are actually using functionality from the machine learning app, which is a different plugin. And you can use that to predict, in this case, we have CPU usage. So I can get a prediction. So now we are rendering a component from the machine learning app to get a prediction over the CPU a couple of days in the future, which is pretty cool. Let me see, code-wise, I'm gonna switch over to the presentation. I don't have this repo cloned locally. So let's do that, and let's go here to the presentation.
A question, Marcus, while you share the screen. So the Grafana Asserts, is it also available in the Grafana free tier cloud account, I believe?
Oh, I'm not the right person to answer that either.
Andrew?
I don't know if I have this answer. I don't think it currently is, but I think they're working on it. I'm really not sure though. So that would be a question we have to take offline and get an answer definitively.
Yeah. So, but let me see. I'm in the wrong place here. So, expose a component. Cool. So here we have this is kind of interesting because I'm showing the totally wrong example here, but anyhow, it's the same thing. This is actually from, I'm going to show you another example then maybe instead, so you can actually see the proper code for what I'm viewing, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's jump back to Grafana again. Okay, cool. So let's go over to Kubernetes app, because we have these things all over the place. So as you see, a button appeared here, and this is insights which comes from the Asserts and the knowledge graph. This one is rendered by exposed components also. So for this one, I have a code example. So I'm going to switch over again. Sorry.
Marcus, I'm going to blow your mind when I teach you about tabs.
Yeah, but I only have one screen. Otherwise, I would have.
Yep.
But okay. I don't think I can share the entire Chrome though. But okay. So entity assertion widget, that was what we saw. So they are fetching the component using the use plugin component function, and they are passing in the ID for that component. They will get a is loading and a component back. So while it's loading, then basically not going to show anything, or if the component isn't returned back. So that could be if Asserts it's not available, for example, then they're not going to show that button basically. Otherwise, they're going to render that button. And that's what you need to do at the consumer side. So this is in Kubernetes app in this case. And you also need to add the static metadata in the plugin JSON that Joey highlighted. Not the best, but yeah, it's still needed. And then in the Asserts app, they basically just call the expose component. They provide ID, title, description, and then the component that they want to expose. So in this case, it was the button that I showed you. And they also need to define a bit of static metadata, but in this time, it's extensions and expose components. And that's basically all you need to do to get this up and running.
Yeah, it's not much, is it?
It's a couple of steps too much, but it's, yeah.
You're working on making that faster then and easier even?
We have something on the backlog to remove, as I said before, the static data part. So you basically just need to define it in TypeScript.
Well,
when that's going to be delivered, I'm not sure.
But just putting it in two places is all right. It's not that bad, is it?
It's better than copying and pasting code all over.
Yeah.
I agree. I love a copy paste, me. But I love the obsession over making it easier and easier for everyone. Like even just having it in two places, we're just not happy with that. We want to make it even simpler and simpler and simpler. Yeah. Yeah,
but what we learned is, I think you always said that also, like there's a lot of people jumping on, want to build something cool with UI extensions, and sometimes they get stuck on not really figuring out what to put in the plugin JSON. Yes. And that's enough threshold to get people to, I'm not going to use that. So that's why we didn't start with having things like that, because we wanted it to be simple to get them going. But as I said, performance-wise, we needed that one because we can't load all the plugins when you load Grafana because the customer is going to be not that happy.
Yeah, I can see that. Definitely makes sense. But and I love that you're sort of obsessing over that, making it easier. I wonder if Cursor knows to put it in those two places, or any of the models, if they just do it properly.
We should try.
Yeah.
I think we have still some time, like about 6 minutes more, and we have some questions which we got from the community. So how about if it is okay for everyone to try to take those questions and answer them? Is it fine?
Yeah, let's
try our best.
Challenge ourselves.
Fire away.
Andrew's left, so we can't just put it on him this time, unfortunately.
Okay, no, all good. I will just copy paste this in the comments so that the viewers can also know what was the question. And give me a moment, please. Yeah, so this is the question. Can I create my own private app plugin with the UI extension?
I think so. Right? You can create it in a private repo, and then you can just hook it into your Grafana instance. Yeah, nobody needs to know about it. You don't need to make it public. As long as
the functionality is available everywhere, so you can use it if you have a. I'm reading this as someone developing a private app plugin. Yes, it's available for everyone.
Yeah, that's good. That's cool. So it's I mean, honestly, that component, plugging components in changes everything. Like the links were good, but obviously then the constraints were on the other side of what that UI, how it presented. Is there a concern that people could just make a big mess? How do we deal with that, or how do we think about that?
Yes. So I guess there are some best practices defined in our docs. So grafana.com/developers and into plugin tools. But what we try to get people to do is to, when you are rendering content from a producer, try to be smart and try to limit the space it can take. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, we want people to build cool stuff and to iterate and to deliver great value. So currently, there are not that many restrictions. You can restrict which plugins that can add components to a extension point. Mm. So there are ways to do that, but currently it's really open. We would rather have too many extensions than none. Right. If it gets a problem, we can probably do something about it.
Figure that out later.
Yeah, and we have. So I'm going to say something regarding security. So we have put some efforts into the context that we share between the different apps. We have put some effort into making sure that you can't really tamper with the data being passed between the different plugins. So plugin A cannot really intervene or do anything with the data that gets passed to plugin B or C. So they are isolated. So those kind of concerns we have had, but the stuff that I'm thinking you are asking about, no, it's more, it's open. Let's do fun stuff with it.
Yeah. How about this one then? Jungle Jolt says, Marcus, very pointed. I'm trying to build an LLM observability plugin. Latency tokens, cost, errors. Do you see real value in this for Grafana, or is another observability area more impactful? It's an interesting question.
We actually look at latency in traces Drilldown in Grafana. I'm not sure if this is crossing over what you're asking here, but
I think they're talking about building observability for LLMs, right? To observe LLMs.
Yeah, sounds like an interesting plugin. I don't know about the plugin like that so far. So, what do you like? I guess the question should probably be asked to maybe Matt
Andrew.
or or Ben, which works more daily in this area.
Yeah, I would say definitely build things like that. There is a gap.
Totally.
Isn't there, Ben?
Yeah. Agreed. I don't think we have anything quite like that right now, and I think that would be really useful. Yeah, I'd love to be able to see that. Even better.
It sounds reasonable.
Existing instrumentation, I suppose. But yeah, it sounds really good.
I mean, you want to monitor as when you start to use that kind of functionality more, you want to monitor that information as well. So if there's a plugin to make that easier, why not?
Yeah. And then, is there a guide or walkthrough to create a basic hello world using extensions? That's another question we got.
Yeah, there should be one on plugin tools. We used to have an examples repo which had a bunch of code examples. So basically small plugins that you could just clone and just run, and you would have the bare minimum to get it up and running. Mm-hmm. I know that we discarded that repo, or we removed most of the examples because we didn't really had time to keep them up to date and spend enough time for them to actually be valuable and show the proper things using the latest stuff. But there should be a how-to guide. Otherwise, you can always reach out to us via the community Slack or on the forum.
Yeah, I
Thank you
will.
very
I will
much.
definitely say to the audience, like we have a Grafana community forum where we have a special section for the plugin development, and Marcus and other people who are in the plugin development area, they can answer all of your question very quickly and very helpfully to get you started. So check that out. Join the community forum as well. And my last shout out is also for the Grafana. I have recently got some questions on, like, is it available on Grafana Cloud? Yes. If you are a Grafana Cloud user, you should definitely check that out as well to understand how it works. So yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today, but thank you so much. Now you know how to extend Grafana's UI, plugging features in across the suite of apps. Helps you multiply value, helps you meet users where they need you. If you build something with this, by the way, do ping us and get in touch, because we'd love to hear about this, and maybe we'll like to talk to you about it too. Thank you so much to our panel, Andrew, Ben, Joey, Marcus, Usman, always a pleasure. And we'll see you next time on Grafana Campfire.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Now you have to hold a smile. Hold a smile. Until it's off. Who's
Joey to the left.